Hey guys, Boris here, bringing you another WOD review. Today we'll be making our way over to APAC with a player who has once again proven himself as being one of the best in the region, that being YBY1, who secured a win in the The Pro Circuit Cup. We are here in the final game of the day, where he managed to secure the checkmate, playing in a scuttle puddle, therefore we can probably expect quite high cap boards. Now, we are going to opt to hold on to the Lulu and a Nico, which is quite unconventional. We already see some players playing around the Ionia. We could also hold on to this Kog'Maw as a potential. We're definitely looking for a line that can secure a first placement. We're going to opt to make 10. I'm going to hold on to this Kog'Maw instead, and I'm not sure if fielding that Lulu there was perhaps a mistake. We haven't seen a single Rodent, but it indicated we could possibly play for something like a Veigar 3. And our current shop is like Viego, that's not gonna cap as high either, and Demacia has some options for win out, but also not that high. This is going to be an interesting spot to see how he navigates it. Also, I believe he checked the Ionia at the start of the game and perhaps was not as satisfied, although we'll have to see. Now, coming up on augments, we have the Rumble Hero augment. This is not going to exactly win us a game right now, probably going to flip that. Silver Destiny, we already have made 10, so the extra little bit of gold that we're going to get is going to be a little bit lower side. We are holding on to these Yordles, so something like a Pandora's items could perhaps lead us into being able to secure these couple of rods and play for a Veigar 3 out or something like that. Alright, so we had a walkthrough Axiom, passed up on that. We had also efficient shopper. Again, the tooltip does not indicate this, but the efficient shopper does provide you with a 4 starting gold, but otherwise it's a little slower on the tempo side. So we're just going to jam the Pandora's items and go for a potential for these Yordles, already mapped out all 10 Yordles. Again, we are looking for ways how can win out, and the other augments just, well, they also would have played into some kind of lost streak format. Pandora's items give us the opportunity to play for this Yordle, and perhaps we're able to hit the augment that allows you to get to 10 Yordle, although 10 Yordle can still lose. I believe in one of the games 10 Yordle lost to something like a Zaheen augment. Therefore, definitely we are looking for perhaps angling for a 3-star 4 cost or some very, very high cap board. Now we have our first rod secured. This is going to some ways come down to us being able to secure these rods fast enough. And we see there's another player already with a Yordle rod slab. Not particularly happy to see that. Therefore, our plan might get taken out along the way. Now, when you're playing for these first wins, you have to take some gambles, right? This is why we have to take something like Pandora's. To secure a first place in such a tight, high skill lobby, you have to take some risks and you have to high roll in some form of way. We're able to get our first dead cap online, which is great. And we did win that first round, therefore we might not have the first carousel priority. See, there's someone angling with the Bard already. Also interesting, using that extra bit of recon angle for a Bard Warwick board. This is most likely coming to be Slayers from Mori. Also, a line that's great at securing top 2s, but this is going to be a little bit of an interesting TFT. When these situations happen, when there's multiple players in check, meaning that they only can win by securing a first place, the lobby dynamics shift quite a lot. Now, the upside from the Rod Augment player is that it takes quite a while to cash out. However, Jazz Latte is already securing a rod away from us, therefore we have to take something, yeah, we can grab a tier. Now, think to also notice that Veigar's ability can hit innately, as in, like, you don't need to build JG, you can build other crit amplifiers, but also one of the great, one item form you want for him is a mana generation, which would probably be either Nashor's, or we can sufficiently play with something like a Shojin, which we might also consider slamming. However, we're probably going to opt to hold on to it for now. Want to secure our rods first, and we are playing for that lost streak at the moment. And our carrier would be a Lulu, which, if you ever played around Lulu, you'll know that she's not really designed for taking out more than a single unit a fight. Scouting around here, yeah, so we see they already have a Teemo too. Now, we might hope that they will pivot to something like Rise Zig, since they do have to seem to have the tempo spot. However, this is going to definitely be a tricky bit. It looks like we're going to be able to get into the neutrals with a 4 loss. Unfortunately, we took the first win. However, we have continuous streak, so able to make a little bit of extra gold here. Able to find another rod, so we are only a single rod away. So most likely, yeah, going to roll, constantly checking on the player with the rods, trying to see how far along they are. Now, most likely go also want to find a way to stabilize on the up. Find the final rod. So there we have that sorted. Now we can start making some frontline items, some man items. Bramble West here would probably be the strongest option with the Slayers and well, generally heavy AD meta. It's just prime item. Prevents you from, allows you to stall long enough to deal at least with these high bursts from the Slayers. Now we're queuing into this player with the Rod Augment, and now I was going to say that in this stage, now that we are 20 HP down, we're probably trying to see how much damage we can mitigate, while also trying to build the maximum amount of econ. We do not want to enter this last stage too low, as this Yordle comp, even on a, you do need a lot of gold to stabilize. Your frontline is your weak point. You probably want to chase a 3-star, 3 cost, and you need to hit your Veigar too and everything quite fast. Now, coming up in our argument selection, Jeweled Lotus, as mentioned, Veigar's ability already can hit, so probably going to pass it on that. Feed the Flames would be quite decent, already sort her out. Anti-heal, probably this will build extra tempo. However, you could also opt to go for a salvage bin, generally a little bit stronger item augment, allowing you to remake and be more flexible with your components. However, I believe we are quite satisfied that we already slammed, and this is in the delayed value. And now we did get very fast with these augment choices, so let's give it a second. Yeah, so plot armor with playing into melee comes quite well. However, we are looking for ways how we can max cap. Also, if we do high roll Yordle Emblem from spreading roots here, it would provide us with a possibility already to play for 10 Yordle, since we are going to be able to unlock it, but obviously we would need the augment to do so. However, it gives more opportunity to navigate around your highest cap, and Striker's Flail here, the Striker's Augment would generally play into more of Slayer's line, and again, we do not really need a Crit Glove right now. We do get a Demacia and a Disruptor Emblem, therefore let's see how we manage to play around those. We have unlocked the Poppy, we're just going to, yeah, so we have this Jarvan, or we're just going to slam and fully remake, and able to slam the Bruiser Emblem is going to, since we already set the level to 7 aggressively here, we're going to unlock a Kobuko, is going to provide a Bruiser for us. Could also play for something like a Volibear. Going to probably, yeah, it looks like we're going to be rolling this Freljord Emblem into hopes of finding maybe another Bruiser Emblem, or again, as mentioned, the Yordle Emblem to be able to cap out our board a little bit higher by dropping some of the lower cost units. Get a full unlocks here, get everything unlocked on level 7, full Yordle shop, going to get that Veigar on. Now this is going to allow us to stabilize this way. To get a Warden Emblem that is also not particularly playing into our comp. Into Slayers, who have already high rolled than Bessa on their side. This is the matchup we definitely wanted at Bramble West, and this cannon is quite strong, and with the Veigar being able to dish the extra the damage out, we are quite good. Now, I believe we are still constantly checking, as we want to note if we have to roll before this player has unlocked their Veigar, so that we are able to secure our 2-star with the least amount of gold investment necessary in hopes. Did we? Yeah, we managed to yoink the Braum with the Bramble, with the Chain Vest. Now, going to Optipass and slamming this. Yeah, so we're not going to be playing around this Braum either. We're probably trying to make max econ. Yeah, so since they are delayed, we are checking when we will have to roll. It's very well read, keeping tabs on everything that's happening in the lobby. This is how these top players do. Even Dish Soap once mentioned that sometimes you are playing basically 8 games at once. When you are in, requires high amount of skill and spot awareness and being able to predict your opponents. Now Bentham streaking there on the Ionia board. We still haven't managed to, I believe, find all of our lower cost Yordles. Yeah, we do not have the option for 8 Yordle just yet. Now, with Little Steppy, full streaking here on these Yordles with the full upgrades. We might be hoping that they might be considering playing for a Rise Ziggs, but they also have slammed the JG. However, obviously that is going to be a great item on the Ziggs if they do so. Still interested in seeing what this last level is going to be for us. We're rolling. Clearly have some kind of plan that we'll be satisfied with. Also, it looks like, yeah, most likely going to be pushing level 8 here right after the neutrals. Going to slam avoid stuff here quickly as we do want the armor magic shred sorted out. Yeah, push levels here. 8 Yordle is going to rebound our econ. I'm going to try to roll down. Unfortunately, did not find 3 copies of the Veigar. Holding on to these Bell Vests in hopes of slowing down the Slayer player as well. Queue into Ionia with a Braum 2. And already have fully rolled down. Thankfully for us, they have only hit a single Yunara and a single Wukong. Still going to be a very close fight, and the Veigar is able to clutch it out with the Meteors, I believe they are, falling down. Now, Coronation would generally cost us more gold. Those offer possibility for high cap. Could consider. However, I believe we have our items sorted, right? At this point, what do we have? We have 2 item augments, which work in a way as a combat augments as well, right? Providing extra board string. Therefore, something like a TG, we just might run also with the Lucky Gloves out from the out of item slots, really, for usable, for worthwhile units to have items on. And we do want an opportunity to higher our cap. Therefore, something like a growth mindset could work here, allow us to fast 9, and with the TGs we will be quite slow on tempo by rolling. Therefore, I'll probably default in growth mindset here, as we do not also have particular exact choice of using this retribution. Again, Veigar can't crit. We have the items. We're not particularly looking for an item augment at the moment. Because if we're able to secure this Veigar too, we definitely should be able to play with this growth mindset. But the growth mindset are generally stronger now going to be than the invested. So now, yeah, we are going to be able to just push already to level 9. Slam some... Yeah, JG Nasher is great. Going to work quite nicely on the Ziggs that we are just about to unlock. This player has also opted to taking a growth mindset. However, through their... Well, they're still waiting on their double rods to proc. No. Still not on a way, still a little bit low on gold, therefore not being able to fully send it down for a Veigar 2. Have a Ziggs pair as well that we have in the shop. I'm going to... We're considering tagging in Zillion, but since we are not needing to, we're going to just be able to play this Ornn that's hopefully going to be able to farm a Snart effect early. Ornn at these stages in the game is going to be quite nicely. Could look to tag it out later on, even because it's traitless for us. Have an open rod that we maybe, if we picked up this Azir, could transition into a form of a Rage Blade, but we're instead going to opt to go for the Shame with a lower cost gold. I assume that we are doing so because we simply want the extra amount of frontline, as this is the weak point of the comp. I'm going to opt to make the Yunara 2, just trying to delay the Ionia player, because again, this is a player that has a potential for higher cap than us, therefore we're just planning to play defense on every front we can possibly get. Our comp can cap quite high if you're able to make something like a 2-star Shyvana, 2-star Volibear, but we do want to delay others in the process as much as possible, particularly since the Shyvana is such a contested unit. Finally able to get that Veigar 2 here going, also able to find this last copy of the cannon necessary to make a cannon 3, so cannon 3 is hopefully going to be able to hold this front line down for us. Also should be quite good in the Slayer matchup. Now hopefully these Slayers don't wrap us here yet. They don't, well, Tarek wraps us, that's I assume fine, since the Veigar can just bypass him, able to take it out and then just Tarek close it out. Already eliminating a player here before stage 4 neutrals. Now you can say, oh, they are pivoting into, they unlock the Kaisa? Is very interesting to see what little step he's trying to pivot into. Going to try to make a note of what he ends up playing there. Have unlocked a Volibear with that Bruiser emblem, so After this single turn of the Ornn, we're probably going to be slotting in the Volibear. Also holding on to a pair already. Yeah, so we have a Volibear too, sitting on bench ready after the Ornn farms as an artifact. Just going to slam a Titans that's going to be transitional to Volibear. That's going to give us a 4 Bruiser, going to help quite a lot buff up the front line of the Yordles. Now, unfortunately, on the opposite side of this Slayer player, but we are able to take them out. Veigar is definitely early. Veigar with these stacking a mechanic is definitely a quite menace. It can become quite a menace. Now we get a downed core, but we're going to slot into Volibear. It's actually not that bad of a item since, if I'm not mistaken, Volibear's mana pool is not that large. And we do want these particular items on. Yeah, so our itemization is kind of in a way locked in. The Shojin is just generally going to be a better mana item on the Veigar than the Dawn Core. I'm also wondering, I assume we are waiting for our 2-star 5 cost to come in before we're going to drop down from 6 Yordle. Can substitute the Lulu with the Swain here, keeping the Arcanist buff on our team. And then most likely dropping a... Going to see what we're going to drop for a Shyvana. I would assume we have Poppy, right? Just to slot in the Juggernaut that way, drop the Poppy, that. Now, Jazz Latte on a win streak here with also an interesting Rise Freljord board. And we are sporadically scouting because we do want to ensure that no one's trying to backdoor a 3-star 4-cost on us. That is the way that we can lose. We have secured this HP lead. We have made it to level 9 very fast. Able to pick up a Shyvana 2. Also a Kobuko 3. Picked up the GA from the carousel to be able to slot in. We're going to make our substitutions this way. Bruiser Shyvana should also be quite sufficient in holding down the front line. So we have the front line sorted out. If we're able to just hit the Ziggs too, would be a big thing for us. Already slotting in the potential 3-star 4-cost. A Warwick, also a very strong Warwick board with that Juggernaut level. This Warwick is definitely a menace, and he's actually able to tear us down. Once he gets those extra buffs going, and with Illusion Senna being able to terrorize us from the backline. Now, was that the 6th Braum for Jazz Latte? That might be a little bit of worrying sight. No, it seems that it's only a Braum 2 for them, so we're quite happy to see that. Little Steppy seemed to have pivoted out, but we did not fight them, and they ended up going 4th. So now this Volibear is definitely a menace. As we can see, once they're able to get those stacks going, they are able to quite spam cast, which is very neat to assist with tearing down the bigger front lines. Since Veigar and Ziggs are doing quite spread out damage, we do want some support of being able to do that extra single target damage, and Volibear is excellent at providing that as a cleanup. Now our board seems to have mostly achieved the max cap state. We could consider going to 9, going to now hold on to this Lysandra as well, able to get some shred for our board, Sunder for our board. That's also going to enable the Volibear to do a little bit of extra damage, and we are in the 1v1 against Jazz Latte. Also firing Volibear now, but the Ziggs bomb coming in doing this insane amount of damage, and that was enough already from 19 HP to take it. I'll just take another look at this fight here. Our front line is so massive that it's simply the Alessandra Seraphine. It's not even the Alessandra Seraphine, it's Alessandra Invoker board with the Anivia. And we are on their weak side. We were definitely able to just completely run over them. Very interesting recognition from YBY how to manage to cap this board, even in a situation where it doesn't seem that we can go for a 3-star 4-cost. Still finding out a way how to squeeze the absolute maximum of this board and play for a win out on a line that is quite not so popular. You don't see it as much in the meta, especially winning out. I hope that you enjoyed watching and that you learned something new, and I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.